Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast, where we explore consciousness, creation, existence, and evolution through conversations with universal beings. Why? Because we're curious. This authentic human place, this space that we've created, is for humans who have big questions about existence. Why do humans exist? What is consciousness? What are humans meant to be doing here? These are the types of questions we answer here. But we're not getting the answers through researching what science has found, through researching what people have discovered. We're actually getting the answers from the source. And the source, in this case, is the universal beings who created existence, the universal beings who created humanity. They're all different. And you get to meet them here. You get to have conversations with them. But more importantly, the whole intention behind this is for you to feel the truth within yourselves. Why? Because that's how you were created. That is why humans exist. And so right now, I'm going to share. So I've been working with, since December of January. They asked me in December of 2024. And in January of 2025, we started on this epic journey of exploring the story of creation. Okay. So basically, how this works, for those who are new here, and I'm super excited you're here, is I show up in front of a live audience, which is my private community. Okay. So right now it's being recorded with a whole bunch of incredible humans. Okay. And so what we do is the universal beings show up and they share a new aspect, a new revelation about how existence was created, how humans were created, and how we're meant to exist and participate in existence, but also how we're meant to expand consciousness and how we're meant to expand existence and what we're meant to be doing, why we were created. And so they'll share an aspect and they'll share the story. And usually it's in a circular motion. So they start in one area and then they give you insight and wisdom into the whole perspective. And then they bring it back to the point that they were making originally, because it's the connection of all those pieces. And then what happens is the episode on the outside ends. And what I mean by the outside is, the YouTube versions and the podcast versions, it ends. And then we get into the good stuff. We get into the conversation around what the universal beings shared. So I'm going to invite you today to explore whatever it is that is being shared through these universal beings, because this is part 118 of the story of creation. And when you have your big questions that come out of this episode, ask them in the comments below. And I'll tell you if those are the same questions that came up in our community or if they're different. And if they're different, it's super great because I get to answer them and I get to learn when you ask big questions. Okay, so here we go. We've got a lot of beings, but we have a really heavy presence. And what I mean by heavy is there's a lot of second stream angelics today. So second stream angelics are universal beings who hold space for experience. So the first stream angelics created matter and created physical representation, but the second stream angelics created experience. So they used what the first stream of angelics created and allowed it to become more, to become their vision, and then they put their mark on it. Okay. And so it's understanding that this is part of how existence works. Okay. This is co-creation. And a lot of people, we live in a world where humans we see a lot of things that other people are doing. And instantly in your brain, you're like, I could do that better. Ooh, I would tweak this. I would tweak that. You're created to think like that. You're created to react to information in that way. The challenge here is that we've been trained to go into judgment. And what that means is judgment of these are all the things that person's doing wrong. So we'll list them, and then we'll decide that all because of the reasons they're doing these things wrong is why they're not doing it right. And that's very, I know that sounds so simple, but the truth is that's you passing judgment. Okay. When really humans are meant to notice what other humans are doing. Okay. But not with your brain, with your energy. What's the difference between the brain and the energy? This is important, and this is really big, because your brain will tell you, oh, I can do it better because I can do this, 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 and this. But when you allow yourself to feel into the energy, now, this is where you're going to access consciousness. Okay. And what happens is you're able to go into the energy of why that other person created it in the first place. Why? Because when you feel into the energy of their why, now you're no longer in judgment. You're in universal learning. You're accessing information about another human being that can help you become more of who you are, that can help you access more of your potential. Not by, taking notes on what you think their strategy is and what you see them doing in the world, right? This is why when people say to me, oh, Michelle, I want to do what you do. No, you don't. You want to be able to use the abilities that I have used to get the results that you want. That's what you want. You don't want to do what I do. And I want you to start to look at, wow, okay, so feel into my why. Feel into it. Because here's the thing, that's how we're meant to create. That's how we're meant to coexist. That's what existence is all about. That's how you expand evolution. You expand existence, right? Consciousness is just a record of existence. So as soon as you expand existence, you're ultimately expanding consciousness. It's quite brilliant. But it's understanding that you're not meant to create everything from nothing. You are meant to evolve as a species, right? We're meant to evolve. Every species is meant to evolve. The difference between humans and animals is, and plants and all of that, is that we have a greater potential like the way they're showing me is not only for success. It's not quite right, because animals have a innate, right? Like they have an innate ability to evolve and experience success. But ours is more dynamic because they're limited to more, it's not just physical representation. And this is really important. I mean, you guys know, you've seen videos, right, of animals hunting and recognizing that they're using the way the wind blows. But it's not just the way the wind blows. They innately understand north, east, south, west. Do they need to learn about what a compass is and how to recognize, oh, that's from the north? No. They know that when the wind blows from the north, there's going to be a particular type of weather experience, and there's going to be a particular type of hunting experience, whatever it is. All these things are ingrained. Right? Animals aren't just running around out there, walking around going, oh, maybe I catch something today. Everything is innately ingrained in them. Humans are the only ones who walk around going, well, if I'm not at my job and I'm not doing this with my family, I feel a little lost. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Hopefully something will come along. Right? Why is that? How would that come to be? Well, because ultimately, humans are the only beings in existence who have been brainwashed. Okay, so what does that mean, brainwashed? It means that someone has taken, what's the energy here? Is taken it's not even taken. So they've stepped into this authority position, okay? in your energy. And you're probably thinking, wow, yeah, there's a lot of people who step into my space and they're in my energy. But I want you to understand that no one can come into your energy and into your space if you don't let them. And how do I know that? Is because you put yourself in physical locations around the world, not just in your home or in your space or in your community. It's understanding that you have placed yourself in the line of the exact experiences that you are meant to be having right now. Okay. And no one has the authority to step into your energy, but you can invite them. You can invite them in. But I need you to understand that no matter who you invite in, it's your authority to kick them out. But humans don't want to kick anybody out for a lot of different reasons, right? Sometimes we feel guilty. Sometimes we like the high that whatever that dynamic brings, okay? But mostly we keep these authorities, okay? And they're using that word very strategically. We keep these authorities close because they make us feel good. And what the Angelics are here, and it's time. They're saying it's time to start to recognize that these authorities that you've let in, they've actually become the dynamic in you that won't allow you to change. Now, that may seem a little bit tricky, so let's just talk it through, okay? When we as humans come into, well, before we come into a human physical life, okay, we are exploring our potential. We're exploring what we need to experience in this life to fulfill the particular mission that we know we're on, right? So we've crafted an opportunity. Now, this is the same way, right, that humans see other things that are going on and we want to make them better. Okay? That's exactly what your soul does before you come into this life. So you exist with an awareness of existence. You have a deep and complete connection to every aspect of existence and every being in existence. Okay? And of course, consciousness, which is the history of existence. So you have all of these things at your disposal. And so you also have an innate knowledge and wisdom of who you are, why you exist, and what you're going to be fulfilling in this particular life. Okay? So what happens is you take that knowledge, you take that awareness, and then you craft the most phenomenal life that will support the intention of your experience here. Now, I know that you're thinking, oh, but how is that true? I've had to survive death of loved ones. I've had to survive, challenges that I never would have, put myself into this position. And I want you to start to understand that, that person who looks at what other people are doing and says, oh, I never would have done that. Well, that's why your soul chose those experiences. Because those experiences that make you go, oh, nope, I don't want that. Or, oh, I can do that so much better. What are they thinking? How could they do that? Those are the exact experiences that get your soul juices flowing. They spark inspiration. They spark your connection to the universe and your soul and every soul in existence. So when all of us are looking around going, oh my gosh, there's so much death, there's so much destruction, there's war over here, and there's another war over there, and there's this person over here, this leader of this country's doing this. It's brilliant because your soul knew you'd know what to do when you got into this life with all these experiences. And your brain is running around going, what do I do? What do I do? I have to react. I have to react. I have to keep myself safe from all of these things. So my money's safe, my family's safe, my home is safe. But what if your soul knew something you didn't know, something you haven't learned yet, and you have the ability to learn it, but it means you're going to have to surrender to a higher power, if you will. You're going to have to surrender to the fact that your soul, this is your assignment. This life is your soul's assignment for you here. So it's kind of like you're 007. You're Agent 007, and your job is to figure out not only what your assignment is, but how to fulfill it. Kind of fascinating, right? Because now when you see death and destruction and trauma and suffering all around you, and maybe you're going through it yourself, now the universe is not just saying, okay, there might be something to it. The universe is saying, you're exactly smack in the middle of this, because this is the point of your transformation. This is the point of your ignition to bring you back into a conscious state of being. A conscious state of being is fundamentally different than consciousness itself, right? Consciousness itself is the recorded history of existence, not just human existence, but existence of existence itself. And you have access to it. You also have access to your soul, who created not only this mission, but your life, your existence as a soul. So you can come back and do this life thing over and over and over again, because that's what we were originally created to do. That's why it's the second stream angelics that are here. Because they're trying to help you understand that experience is participating in existence. That's what experience is. And so you're here to have an experience, to participate in existence, to participate in evolution. And if you're lucky, and when I say lucky, what they mean is if you choose to participate from a conscious state of being, that's awareness of who you are, what you're meant to be doing, the energy that you hold in existence, and the ability that you have to propel the entire existence forward. Every human has that ability. It's why when you see things that don't make sense or that cause tons of suffering, like mass suffering, tons, it really is. It's why when you see those things, you hurt. It makes you upset. It makes you sick to your stomach. Not because you're not supposed to do anything, but because you're supposed to remember who we are. You're not supposed to start chasing your tail and trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong. Because honestly, there's no such thing as who's right and who's wrong. That's not how existence works, because there is no such thing as judgment. And if you're one of those people who's still trying to figure out who's doing this right and who's doing this wrong, and trying to uncover all of the people and all the names and all of the situations and all the governments who are doing all this wrong, the truth is really, really simple. Okay? As a human race, you are participating in that human race. All of the humans that are incarnate right now, okay, that means you're having a life, okay, are here to participate in the evolution of existence, to move us beyond this soul-wrenching experience that we've been having for the last 50,000 years. Why? Because original human existence was fundamentally different than what we're experiencing today. Every human was in full connection with the universe and consciousness. No one was wondering if this is right or if this is wrong and if this is hidden. There's no such thing as hidden information. There's none. Nothing. It's all there. The problem is they've taught you to not trust yourself. So when you have access to information, thoughts come through your head because you felt into the energy, because your intention was so clear. You just wanted an answer. And then your brain was like, that's too crazy. That piece of information that just came in, what if it was this crazy? Your brain has decided that it's too crazy, that it can't be true. Well, the truth is that the things that have been going on, the manipulation and the control around human existence, is not only barbaric, but it's filled with hate. Is really a hate, and hate is an energy. It's so cold that it doesn't have any connection to human existence. Okay. And so what has happened and how we got to this place is that humans were suffering for so long that they started to look for an out. And in looking for relief, right, that out, let me just get out of this, they created a situation that would numb existence. So they created the dynamic of drugs and alcohol. Now, they created so many different streams of both of these. Okay. So there are drugs and alcohol in mainstream, right? So you've got it in the food industry, you've got it in the medical industry, you've got it in the sort of the black market, if you will, of existence, right? So this is the things we're not supposed to have. But these beings who have control, who created this control and manipulation, they created these drugs, right? So the people that are addicted to them, the people that sell them, the people who, make them because they want to make money, because they want to control the situation, they got into these experiences as a result of the kingpin leaders, if you will. Okay. And I'm using these, we're going to get into it, but it's what's important today is who really cares who set it up? Because this is the thing. We've got an entire society thinking that we want to know who did it and why. Well, why do you want to know? So because you think that you're going to be able to hold them responsible? It's not going to happen. They're universal beings from another universe. They came here to play, and literally they can just pick themselves up and disappear. But they're not running. They're in your face. Why? Because they just want to see what they can do. And if you continue to need to hunt them down and find the source of all of these things, then what's happening is you're not actually focused on what you're meant to be doing here, on why you exist. You're focusing on creating this illusion and keeping this illusion here. We can't create the future of human existence based on truth, which is where we are meant to be going right now, which is why every human in existence incarnated right now. It's why you stack the deck in your favor so that you would remember the truth of who you are, why you exist, and what you're meant to be doing. Because we need all the humans together. All of us. So we're not just one 007. The entire population of humanity is meant to all be secret agents, if you will. And what I mean by secret agent is not, that your mission is hidden. It's your job to uncover the bigger mission, the bigger understanding of exactly what's going on. But you won't be able to find those answers through mainstream media, through news, because we know, and I mean, gosh, we know that this is already all lies. But what's more important is you won't be able to find them through your mind. And that's what they were talking about at the beginning. That's what they were saying. When you see what someone else is doing and you think your way through, oh, they did this and this and this, and I can do it this way. But if you come back and get into the truth by asking the energy, who are they? Why are they doing this? Now the answers start to come. And it's those answers that are going to stretch you. It's those answers that are going to propel you. The energy will literally move you forward, not only into more truth, but into more questions, into more participation. You'll know who you are. You'll know what you're meant to be doing. But you can't get those answers if you continue to allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself, feel sorry for other people, be frustrated about what's going on in the world. If you sit and want to change the world, because that's the truth. You're meant to create the future of human existence. You're not meant to change the world. And that's the whole point. Because changing the world is you coming up with a list of all the things you want to do that you think are right. And based on that, where did that come from? It comes from all the things you think are wrong. So instead of sitting there thinking about all the things that you're doing that are right and other people that are doing are wrong, okay, let's get right out of judgment. Just pick yourself up for a minute and drop your energy over here in this new space where there's nothing there yet. Nothing there yet. And that's what they're saying. That's the future of human existence. It hasn't been created yet. It hasn't. So all of those mystics and people who have predicted what's coming in the future, you predict the future based on the current situation, based on the current unraveling. And when you feel into different people's energy, right? So when you feel into those beings who came here to manipulate human existence, and we started talking about them even more in depth. I think it was part 110, part 111 of the story of creation. Could have been a little different, but what happens is we miss the overall perspective, right? So when you feel into the energy of existence, when you allow yourself to feel into potential and possibility, okay, now you can create something literally out of nothing. These beings who came here to create this manipulation, they're creating in alignment with universal existence. If they weren't, they wouldn't be successful here. So I need you to feel that. I need you to really understand it, because pity and feeling sorry for yourself about why things are happening to you and what they're doing to you, that's not universal existence, but that's how you've been taught. Why? Because they literally taught you not to work in alignment with universal existence. It's crazy. And so now, okay, when you start to think about the future of human existence, so all of these mystics that, they've stated these things are going to happen in the future, right? This is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. They felt that, and they came into that awareness by feeling into the beings who were going to create that. So these beings who came in to control and manipulate, they already have their intentions super clear, what they're going to do, how they're going to participate. That's how all this information is out there. So now, okay, this is where it gets a little tricky, but now we're at a place where the goal is to have enough humans awake. More than anything, that just means aware of who you are as a soul and why you exist. Okay? Awake does not mean you're aware of what other people are doing, because that's not awake. That's not aware at all. That's not in alignment with existence. Okay? Awareness is understanding your role in existence, not your role as a pawn in this physical world that you've been used as and still choose to show up as, which is what they were talking about at the beginning. So, in order to create the future of human existence in alignment with original intention, because that is the goal and it always has been the goal, we need to come back to original intention. What does that mean? It means that we come back to that place where humans are fully aware. We're not awake from the political perspective. We will never become aware then, because you're too enmeshed in who did what, when, how, where, and why, that you can't feel into the energy of the universe and existence and your true purpose. And so what they want you to do is start to feel into your soul, feel into the energy of your soul. It's not hard to do. It's not something you have to set, be all dramatic about and set yourself up so it's super quiet and no, just start thinking about being in connection with your soul. Start to notice, just close your eyes for a few minutes and start to notice how your body works. What's moving inside your body and outside? How is it moving? Start to notice the breath that flows through your body. Because your body is a fully conscious, intricately created machine. But it is created by every aspect of existence itself. So instead of thinking about how other people are doing what they're doing, start to focus on who you are, the mechanics of your existence, right? Because that's who you are. And that energy, that awareness is the foundation of existence. So your job is to cultivate that awareness. So before you go to sleep at night, just set the intention. I just want to connect with my soul when I fall asleep. So when you wake up in the morning, notice if there's any messages, if there's any dreams that you had that felt so real you were in it. I had the other night, I had a name. I woke up at 2 a.m. and there was a name. It was a first and last name. And it was just like, boom, I want to write it down. And then I went right back to sleep. These things happen, but they're messages. They're messages from your soul. They're not complicated and hard to get, but you have to choose to participate. And you can't participate when you stuff your brain full of, he said this and she said this, and what are they doing? And I got to figure this out. And I don't know, where's safe? Where am I going to keep my money? Where am I going to move my family? What am I going to do for my work? And they don't like me. And this person, all of these things detract and distract you from being able to connect with the energy. All the answers, all the wisdom, all the information of existence is at your fingertips, unless your brain is too busy. And that really and truly is the key to their manipulation strategy. If we keep them completely addicted to being so busy in their minds, they'll never be able to remember. But it also doesn't mean you need to go off into the woods, right, where nobody else is, so that you can get your connection back. No, that's not what it means, because that's not how existence works either. That's why your soul chose your family, chose your life, where you live, the part of the world you live in, the culture you were born into, the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, all of it. Your soul chose all of that, knowing it was exactly the experience you were going to need. So what do you do with that? You keep learning. You learn through the energy. That's how humans were created to learn. We were not created to learn through books. We were created to learn through energy and experience. The foundations of existence. Who created those? The same beings, the first stream angelics and the second stream angelics, the same beings that created you, that created your soul, and created the opportunity for you as a soul to come in and have a physical human experience now, as well as the hundreds of thousands of times you've done it before. Why? Because that's the reason we exist, is to literally play in this playground of the universe that was created for us. Can you imagine building a playground and nobody coming? And you look at it every day and you think, man, are they going to come? Nobody shows up. And then imagine what happens if a whole bunch of people show up and they stand around the edges and go, well, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, and you did this wrong. Are those the people you want to show up in your playground? They're not really fun. They're not really trying anything out. They're not testing it to see what they could do. That's the whole point, is we're meant to play in the playground and then discover where it could be better, where it could be more. We really are more than beings. Why? Because that's evolution. Evolution is, there's always more. It's the whole point of this universe. It's the whole point of existence. It's why humans were created. So instead of worrying that you're judging, well, and take a notice. If you were judging, did you have a mental list or did you actually feel into their why? Oh, I see, right? Like you go back and look at 50 years ago, let's just say the evolution of dance, right? What people were doing and how they were dancing. And now you look over 50 years, have the dance moves changed? Has the music changed? You better believe it. Why? And when people look back and they're like, whoa, can't believe we did that then. How did that happen? Same thing as working out, right? Has working out changed? Moving your body? Yep. What we wear, how we wear it, what we drive, the houses we live in, it's all changed. The materials we use, whether it's for homes and building, whether it's for clothing. Think about the food you eat. Has it changed? Evolution is about recognizing how you can participate to make something better. Well, here's the question. What is better? What is better? So when you sit there and come up with all your judgments, what are you deciding is better? The secret to that, how it makes people feel. That's what makes it better. The experience of the people having it. That is the reason for existence. Matter, right? Into experience. Well, it wouldn't matter if there was no experience. We wouldn't be here if we couldn't have an experience. So our job is to create experiences. Experiences. Not stuff. Experiences. So it could be a physical representation of an experience. You think about it. When people are trying to sell a bath product, they're not selling the bath product. They're selling the experience the bath product is going to give you. Right? It's the whole marketing strategy is based on. So right now, your job is to start feeling your soul again. Pay attention, ask questions, and listen for the answers with your heart, with the energy, things that you don't seek out. Those are the energy bringing them to you. And stop looking at everything in a way that feels like you're in a battle that you can't win. Right? These things aren't being done to you. Nothing's being done to you. But it's also, yes, it's being done, in your space energetically through the universe, but it's really understanding and recognizing that you created this experience. You brought everything you needed here. And there is something that you need to see. There is something that you need to feel. And there is something that you need to recognize in you that will trigger your participation in evolution once again. Right? And how can you do that? The only way you can do that is getting outside of the control and manipulation. Doing stuff inside of control and manipulation is not participating in evolution. It's just doing stuff. Right? So if you're trying to strategically come up with this, I need to make money, I need to do, I want to keep us safe, I want to make sure we have all this money and whatever it is. I'm not saying, I'm not saying don't get a job. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's allowing yourself to recognize that as you're working, as you're making money, it's about propelling yourself into evolution. That's what every resource you have is about. Your relationships with your family, your loved ones, your friends, your colleagues, your community, all of your relationships are about fulfilling why you came into existence. So if they're fulfilling complacency by sitting around complaining about everybody else and what's going on in the world and what's wrong with the world, then you're not fulfilling your reason for existing. You see the pattern now? You're ready. You're ready. And we're beyond this whole let's do some awakening stuff. We're beyond that. We're at the place where humanity needs to start participating in the future, needs to start creating the future of human existence. How do we do that? Well, you got to start feeling. Because the only way you can actually participate and feed the energy of evolution is if you have the capacity to hold energy, if you have the capacity to communicate through universal energy. It's not hard, but it certainly takes effort. And it takes a remembering of the truth of who you are and why you exist. We're going to go deeper into it. So make sure you're subscribed so you get access as soon as new episodes are released. And in the meantime, go feel all the things and let your soul start talking to you. It's talking with you, communicating with you. Why? Because the truth right there is right there, the truth of everything. And it's right at your fingertips. You have to stop fighting for it. And when you stop fighting for it, you'll let it come in. Thank you. I'll see you next time. I'm Michelle Vickers. Bye for now.